Alright, so what we want to do is we want to solve this quadratic by completing the square. Now, we could, if we wanted to, we could bring this over and add 10 and we get 63. We might be able to solve by factoring this, but we certainly can't solve by taking the square root, and we can't solve by taking the square root because this is 16x. So we either solve by factoring or we solve by completing the square. In this particular problem, they've asked us to complete the square, so that's our method we have to do. So what we learned how to do is we are completing the square on these first two terms. Now, you can decide how you want to do this. If you want to draw tiles, you can, but because these numbers are big, I'm just going to make an area model, and I have x squared, and then I have to half the minus 16. So I have minus 8x here and minus 8x here. So to make this a perfect square, what do I have to add here? And remember, our factors are going to look like this, x minus 8, x minus 8. So this number right here has to be 64, right? So this 53 has to be 64. So to make this 64, I have to add, what is that? 7 and 4 is 11. I have to add 11 to this to get it to be 64. So that means I need to add 11 to this side and add 11 to this side. So then when I do that, I get x squared minus 16x plus 64 equals negative 10 plus 11 is 1. So now the whole reason, the whole reason we did this was because now this is a perfect square, and we can rewrite this sum as a factor of x minus 8 squared equals 1. All right, so now this is a perfect square, and because it's a perfect square, I can take the square root of this side and I can take the square root of this side. Remember, the absolute value of x minus 8 equals, what's the square root of 1? 1. Okay, so now we have to look at this absolute value. Do not forget this step, because this means that x minus 8 equals positive 1 or x minus 8 equals negative 1. So we get x equals plus 8 on both sides is 9, and x equals plus 8, so 8 minus 1 is going to be 7. So my answers are going to be 7 and 9. And those are my solutions. And remember, that's where we're crossing the x-axis.